Welcome, dear student, in my channel in which we are going to discuss about the zoology. Now, today's lecture is for first year zoology student, in which we are going to discuss the five kingdom classification. But before five kingdom classification, we have already discussed the taxonomy as well as systematics and linear hierarchy, which includes the binomial and trinomial nomenclature. So after these nomenclatures and the rules of nomenclatures and the recommendations, today we will discuss the introduction to five kingdom classification. How the all living organisms are to be classified into this five kingdom system. But in before this or at the time of Linnaeus or before the discovery of the different instruments or the microscope and the this different kinds of the microorganisms, these living organisms are generally classified only into two groups. One is animal and another is plants. Those who are non-mobile or sedentary, they are called as a plantae, and those who are mobile or motile are called as a kingdom animalia. So, before the discovery of this microscope and instruments or the development in science, at the time of Linnaeus, the living organisms are classified only in two kingdoms. But later on, the Dutch physician and microscopist in the 16th century discovered this microscope, Leeuwenhoek, and afterwards he discovered that there are group of microorganisms or the small organisms which we can't see with the naked eyes, and for that we have to use such a microscope. And there is this another world of that microorganisms, and where to place these microorganisms, although these different kinds of the fungus, where to keep these fungus which are generally this heterotrophic in nature. So later on again there is a development in science, and in 19th century, generally in 1969, this scientist Whittaker who give the five kingdom classification on the basis of the not on the basis of morphological features or the structure, but on the basis of different kinds of the criteria which are going to be made. Now, what are the criteria for classifying these all organisms into these five groups? Generally, he used the complexity of life, how the organisms is going to generally live. So that is about the complexity of life. Then another kinds of the character to be considered for classifying the organism, that is complexity of organism, complexity of life, complexity of organism. Then mode of nutrition, how the organisms are going to be nutrited, so that is mode of nutrition. And the role of that organisms into ecology, so that major ecological role. So these are the characters to be considered for classifying the living organisms into five kingdom. So this is called as the five kingdom, and this five kingdom of life, so which has been generally introduced by the Whittaker. So today, in today's lectures, we are going to discuss this all five kingdom. So this is diagrammatic representation of these five kingdoms on the basis of their this complexity of life, complexity of organism, mode of nutrition, and major ecological role of that organisms into nature. So let's see the number first one, the first kingdom, which is Monera. So they are considered that in the, this is about the arrow which indicate the direction of evolution, how the evolution going to be process or occurred from these smaller organisms or the simple organisms to highly developed organisms or highly complex organism. So the first kingdom is kingdom Monera. So the kingdom Monera is the including or having the animals which are small, microscopic, and these are called as a prokaryotes. So these are prokaryotes means they are having the primitive nucleus. Karyon means the nucleus and pro means primitive. The nucleus, which is also called as not a true nucleus. The true nucleus is absent. That is, cell organelles are absent, as well as the this kinds of the nuclear envelope is also absent into these kinds of the prokaryotic organisms, which includes the this bacteria and viruses. They show the autotropy. This autotropy means these kinds of the individual produces their own food material by the help of chemosynthesis. So with the help of this chemosynthesis, they can produce their own food material. So likewise, these are the prokaryotics, which are microscopic organisms which can't be seen with the naked eyes. For just to observe these organisms, we have to use the microscope. And in the course of evolution, they form earlier. Then later on, from this kingdom Monera, the next kingdoms which arise, the kingdom Protiasta. So this is the second kingdoms which is going to be arise, and these protists which are simple but they are unicellular, and instead of prokaryotic, these are eukaryotes. They are having true nucleus, well developed nucleus with a nuclear envelope along with the different cell organelles. So that is eukaryotic nucleus which is also present into these kinds of the kingdom Protist. And they are unicellular means they are having the single cell structure. All kinds of the like the paramecium, amoeba, balantidium, opalina, volvox, all these organisms comes under the this kingdom Protiasta, unicellular eukaryotic organisms. So this is the second kingdoms which evolve after the kingdom Monera. So this is about the first complexity of life, then later the complexity of organism. So they are simple, then later on in third kinds of the mode, this complexity of this multicellular complex individuals are going to be developed. They are all also eukaryotics, but instead of unicellular, they are multicellular. So these remaining three kingdoms are multicellulars, and these evolved after the kingdom Protiasta. So likewise, the kingdom Plantae, kingdom Fungi, and kingdom Animalias are to be developed from this kingdom Protiasta, and the Protiasta is developed from the kingdom Monera. So this is the direction of evolution. Now we'll see after this Protist, we'll see the kingdom Plantae. So what is about this mode of all these three kingdoms are complex as well as multicellular, and they are eukaryotic. Instead of unicellular, they are multicellular means they are having the many cell instead of the single cell. So they are having the cell as well as tissues. Now mode of nutrition we'll see. In case of kingdom Plantae, they are autotrophic means they produce their own food material, but with the help of this process which is called as photosynthesis. Photosynthesis with the help of sunlight as well as carbon dioxide, water, they can produce their own food material. But here in case of Monera, they produce their own food material by the process of chemosynthesis. So this kingdom Plantae, they are generally multicellular, including the multicellular green plants, and they carry out the photosynthesis, and by which they produce their own food material. Due to this, they are called as the autotrophic organisms. The next kingdom is a kingdom Fungi. Kingdom Fungi having the nutrition as a heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they can't produce their own food material. They have to depend for their food material on others. They collect the food material from other organisms, whether they may be the plants or animals, by the process of absorption. They absorb the nutrient from these kinds of the multicellular organisms, and they generally they are called as the fungus or fungi. And study of this there is a separate branch in the science which deals with the study of fungi, which is called as the mycology. So this is about the fungi. Then the last kingdom is kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia having the mode of nutrition again heterotrophic, and by the process of ingestion. They are having the mouth, and with this mouth they collect the food material and intake the food material through the mouth, and that process is called as ingestion. After intake of the food through the mouth, it has the different processes into the alimentary canal, and again the nutrients are going to be absorbed and undigested waste are egested out. So this process is called as the ingestion. They ingest the nutrient or food material, though they are heterotrophic. The kingdom Fungi is also heterotrophic, but it is having the absorption. Kingdom Animalia, though it is heterotrophic, but it is having the ingestion. So this is about this 5 kingdom classification. Now we'll see the major ecological role of these 5 different kingdoms. Basically, we'll see the major ecological role of these 3 major kingdoms. The kingdom Plantae is producer, which can produce the food material, and on which these kinds of the remaining kingdoms depends. So this is about the producer, which can produce the food material. Then the kingdom Fungi having their role into ecosystem as a decomposer, which decomposes this kinds of the food material or decomposes the organic matter. So that's why they are called as the decomposers, by absorbing these nutrients. Then the kingdom Animalia is having their role as a consumer. They consume the nutrients or the food materials from these kinds of the remaining kingdoms, that is again through these kinds of the Plantae. So likewise, this is about 5 kingdom classification, and this is about the direction of evolution, how these 5 kingdoms are to be evolved or presents. So this is the brief diagrammatic representation of 5 kingdoms, by which we can generally understand the role of each kingdoms and how the kingdoms are evolved and the major characters of that kingdom. So this is about after studying all these 5 kingdoms, shortly we brief out the 5 kingdoms. Number first, kingdom Monera, which is a prokaryotic, autotrophic, small microscopic organisms. Then the second kingdom Protista, which is eukaryotic, but it is unicellular. It is also small and microscopic, but only the difference is which is eukaryotic instead of the prokaryotic. Remaining 3 kingdoms are having the eukaryotic multicellular structures. The nucleus is eukaryotic and they are multicellular organisms: Plantae, Fungi, and kingdom Animalia. So likewise, this is a diagrammatic representation of 5 kingdom classification. Hope you understand this diagrammatic representation and of 5 kingdom classification, and still you possess any query or the doubt about this lecture, please feel free to write into comment box. Thank you very much.